They'll probably say, where exactly are you going with this? I see you really trying to take it there. Old school flow, chew you out, ain't fair. Jordan pants don't...
Yeah, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Zai. You already know what time it is. I'm gonna get on here and give my point of view. Hopefully the audio is not too, you know, below par. I'll say that. But yeah, I was watching the homie Nate Dogg 916, and he was giving his point of view on those who say that all YouTubers, I guess the ones that have been to prison, that get on the mic as far as like podcasts or whatever, are pretty much PCs. Now, we all know the difference between certain terminologies, but I'm not going to get on here and get politically correct about it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter whether you're in the hat, whether you're in this, whether you're in that. If you're no good, you're no good, regardless of why you went the way you went, regardless if you just hung up your shit on the street. Now, it's one thing to get on the street and then hang up your Chuck Taylors or Stacey Adams, whatever your timeline was. Nobody really has a problem with that. It's just the fact that you hung it up is the issue. Now, whatever terminologies people like to misconstrue and, try to use certain words in order to take you off the focus of the point. The focus of the point is, once you're no good, you're just no good. I'm not the one that made up rules, and neither was anybody else that's going to come after me. They were rules that were set in stone a long time ago, and that's just what it was. Now, I also heard things along the line of, as far as like cameras, and yeah, it's true. Like when you were busted, because I remember in one of the prisons I was at, the homie didn't really know too well, and then they had some people come online. They were behind the gate as far as like where you do the wood and all that, and they spoke on camera, and they were immediately reprimanded. And due to the fact of them knowing certain people, they didn't get away with it, but they were given the benefit of the doubt. Now, on the streets is a whole different story, and even as far as like in prison, because a lot of people have cell phones now, or they have tablets, they have all types of means of reaching out to the street. Certain rules are set in place to safeguard certain things now, and also to keep one from having certain issues. Now, that's not my whole reason for getting on here and talking about certain issues. It's just, whenever my name is brought up, for the most part, I kind of bypass it. A lot of people like to use my name or whatever to bring more attention to it, because regardless of whether I'm really on YouTube as much as I was, a lot of people still know my name. Like, and that's the funny thing in the whole, and this to address the whole YouTubers being PCs. Now, that's actually plausible in a certain sense, because you can be considered, not good if you say certain things. And now, as far as like just jumping on social media, period, I'm not here to address all that. I'm just merely here to speak on behalf of myself. Now, I could say a lot of things of that nature would be plausible if it wasn't for the simple fact that some of us still function in certain areas, certain of us still show up to certain things, and certain of us still talk to certain people. So that would invalidate that train of thought. Now, I get it. Like, if you get on social media and you say certain things, regardless, there's always consequence to action. But that's just in general. That's in life. Like, you say certain things about people, and there can be consequence to your actions. Like, when people speak up on me, I usually don't address it, because at the end of the day, just to be 100% honest, for the people that have been following my channel for a while, I've been on social media for years, and yet have not ran into one person that supposedly had issue with me address it in person. Like, you got cats, like, as far as like the cats that are just no good, I really don't trip off them. I don't mention their name, because what's the use of doing it? Like, I could get on social media right now and call out a gang of different fools, and it would bring buzz to my channel, but I don't really care about buzz in the first place. Like, I do what I want. Like, people like to put me in the prison genre. If you remember, I got on YouTube talking about what it felt like to join a Mexican gang and why I joined the Mexican gang. It had nothing to do with prison. People asked me about prison later on, and how was it being a black Southerner and things of that nature. So I chose to speak on that, what it was to be me and, do what I did. And not to glorify it necessarily, but just to give you a point of view from from a black Southerner, because you got people that are not black Southerners that speak on us as if they know us. They could never walk in our shoes, and they'll try to, play the whole thing of not being respected. Dude, I've known, and this is not for people that's outside of the county, but people that are from this county, Los Angeles County, that know that there's black homies that, though they may have not got to that level, their respect was nearly on that level. And which is funny because regardless of like your race, it doesn't really matter. Cause I know cats that spoke good and they said what they did, and then but one of the homies had told me, he said, wait till like the real ones step on the line, and then let's see where these cats at. And most of those dudes folded. They act like they were about something. They spoke as if they were that man, because for youngsters, they hear the Torica, they hear the people talk a certain way and be like, oh, he's all the books you've read. Of course you can wrap a youngster's brain up in a little news, because they're looking up to a lot of homies like, yeah, this fool's been around, he knows this. But I've seen a lot of them fold for a fact. Like that's why, like, when fools like used to speak like they were just that person, and then I really run into those people and see how these dudes act, like they clam up and get like, because a real have stepped in the house. It just made me open my eyes. But I've been one of those youngsters. I'm older now, but I was always one of those youngsters that I observe. I look. You could never pull the wool over my eyes, because I always seen through facades. Like a lot of these YouTubers that's on, and not all of them, but there's a few it's a facade. See, what Cabbage tried to do was to get everybody to believe that anybody that spoke certain things was in the same regards as him. But you cannot really say that, because not only did that dude leave one situation and go into another situation, he just was, and I'm not even going to speak on that dude, because at the end of the day, people already know how I felt about him, and it just was that, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to cause any more turmoil to his family, but it is what it is. And I have my reasons for stating what I stated. But for anybody to get on here and talk about people being in bad standings because they're on YouTube, you're either an idiot or you just don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like a lot of dudes that talk good. Huh? Okay, that'll be in there in a minute. You see, this is what I got to do. I got kids that I take care of and handle my business. So as far as like social media and YouTube, I'm not really tripping on it too much. Yeah, I put out my little music and this and that. I do that because I can. There's a lot of cats on social media right now that are one-trick ponies. You've basically followed my whole script. Everything that I've did, you're trying to emulate right now. And I've did the reactions. I've did the podcasting. I've did the controversial topics. I've called fools out. I've been front and center since I've been on YouTube. Like even when the homies now, like dealing with the homies from upstate, I've been doing that. I went upstate a few times just to show dudes what it was, to show my support. Now people are jumping on that, you know what I mean? And I'm not mad at it, because the homies from upstate are front line and they need their shine. And people, regardless of what you think about it or what type of thing you think we should form with certain cats from up there outside of the homies, nobody cares. It's support, dog. Like I'm always gonna support the homies. That's just what it is. But I don't know. It's not even a rant. It's just to address certain things. Like I've been where people are trying to go, and I didn't have to do what I did to get to the level that I'm at. Like I could still see, that's the difference between me and a lot of people. Like I can go to places and show up and be good outside of the typical idiot that may actually feel like they got some type of energy, which they never do. That's the only thing I got to deal with. Maybe an enemy that's my age, or some that feels something about one of his homies coming up missing, or some along that lines that were maybe in the same time period as me when it was cracking. They might feel some type of way about it and try to get theirs, but that just comes with the territory. Now, as far as me ever fearing a fool that can't even walk the street, like the dude Cabbage, he was actually semi-threat, because outside of all these other fools, he was actually moving around. And he was willing to sling them. You know what I mean? Of course, he never popped up when he said he did. But, and all in all, if he got caught sipping, he was going to handle his business. These other cats that just be talking, they stay in their house, dog. You know what I mean? And for the ones that ain't even in Ma'arca, or nowhere in Los Angeles County, we get it, dude. Everybody know, dog. Where I work, I've said it a million times. Everybody know what city I stay in. I said it a million times. It's like at this age, it's like you can't continue calling fools out because ain't nobody accepting. At least the ones that, well, nobody's accepting. But of course, I'm not just putting a blatant just for everybody. It's for cats that supposedly have issue with me. But yeah. So all I'm gonna say is like for the cats that want the YouTube thing, it's yours, dog. Like I'm not really tripping. Like I'll come on here every once in a while to do what I do. I got other things to look forward to. Like outside of my kids, like I got ventures that I'm focused on. I'm trying to own businesses, not be working a basic 9 to 5 and living in an apartment building. I live in a house right now. But you see what I'm saying? It's like we on different levels as far as the way our mentality thinks. Like I've had the streets in spots where it was cracking, but now I want the money and I want my kids to be straight. So, I refrain from going into certain topics on foods and mentioning certain foods because at the end of the day, it don't really make me no difference. They're not doing nothing to me. They're not even a threat to me physically or whatever. But I say this to the cats that, like to speak my name. Go to like one meeting with your homeboys, and then I'll talk to you. You know what I mean? Like show me that you can be who you are and go where you can't go. And don't get me wrong, like you're always gonna have homies that cater to that. Like in my hood, there's no catering to that. If you're no good, you ain't coming around. I mean, you can, but I mean, without saying, you already know what time it is. Even the smiles, don't fall for the smiles. There's a reason why my neighborhood got the moniker Scanless Park. Like, and we get down grimy. Like, and you ain't gotta believe it, but ain't no PCs hanging around my hood. Ain't no SNYs hanging around my hood. Ain't no 2-5. Ain't nothing that are in bad standings hanging around my hood. We just don't deal with it, and we're small. But with that said, man, I'm your boy Zod. I will be putting up other videos and hopefully not even about this time, not even addressing people. I'm just, talking about the homie, Nate Dogg 916, because dude has always been solid, always stand on his all 10 and just kept it real. Like he ain't speaking about nothing that ain't real. Like that's just him. And that's why I respect dude. You know what I mean? Like outside he's just a good dude, but that's why I respect him. And we got other ventures coming in the future with me and him and, exploring our content, you know what I mean? And and I can do that with solid cats. But for the ones that, I'm never going to compromise myself and deal with cats that I'll never deal with. That's never been me, dude. You see all these gray hairs? I'm too old and too stuck in my old ways to compromise myself, and I could have numerous times and would have came up, but in the long run, what would have happened? Wouldn't have been able to go nowhere, not to my hood, no nothing. Conversate with the people that I highly respect. With that being said, I'm your boy Zod, and I'm gonna go ahead and end there. With that being said, I'm out.
Kneel before Zod!